Hey there, I'm Neil. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm the host and producer of Pause and Rewind, the podcast that chats to changemakers, thought leaders, and role models who all share a common goal. They're striving to make the world a more inclusive place. And, let's face it, we need it. Each guest has a unique story when it comes to doing their thing, and we often know who people are in the now, but how much do we really know about them? Pause and Rewind takes a moment to explore the experiences, realisations and relationships in my guest's life that led them to where and who they are now, because everyone loves an origin story. We'll dive into tales, anecdotes and a little of what makes our guests tick. So whether you're here for insights or inspo or simply want to know about your heroes, this podcast is for you. You might never know someone's story, but if you pay attention, you'll hear it, you'll see it and you'll feel it. So, are you ready to pause and rewind? Hey Adele, welcome to Pause and Rewind. As always, it's bloody brilliant to see you.
I bet you say that to every guest.
It's always great to see every guest. You know, I'm not going to have a guest on that I don't want to spend time with. But it is always lovely to see you. But usually it's when we are glammed up or passing each other at an event. So it's nice to sit down and know that I've got a proper conversation scheduled in with you.
Yeah. So it's nice to actually like, sit down and actually have a chat and not have hundreds of people sort of wandering around us and, you know, being distracted. Because the thing is that those sort of events, if I'm ever at an event like an award show or, you know, like a panel event or anything, I get so distracted so easily. And then I end up just wandering around. And then I'm just sort of like chatting, and then I feel like at the end of it, I don't think I spoke to anybody properly. I think I was just like pinballing around to people. So yeah, this is quite nice that we're stuck now in this room now and we have to chat. Who knows, by the end of it, we might dislike each other and never want to speak again.
I can't see that happening. I can't see that happening. I don't know about you, but I'm always overstimulated as fuck at those events as well. Like the joys of a sparky brain. But listen, it was love at first sight when we first met, to be fair with you, right? It was at the Diva Awards last year. And it was just so great to meet you. And it was a chance meeting. And we've just stayed in touch ever since. And I have no doubt that I'm going to love you even more at the end of this conversation. So no fear there.
Well, you know, it's quite interesting that you met me at the Diva Awards. I wasn't even there. It was the Rainbow Honours.
Okay, figure out how to edit that bit out. Was it Rainbow
Keep
Honours?
Keep it in. Who knows?
My God.
Because do you know what though? But that's good though, because it shows that you kind of just saw me everywhere, and I love that. I love that I was always in your brain. So like you were just like, I've just seen her everywhere. Maybe that's what I do, is that I imprint on people so well that obviously I can be seen at places I've not even been seen at, which is quite scary really, because then I'll probably get seen at the scene of a crime, which I didn't commit. It's quite worrying, right? If you start to think of it that way. Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like one of those AI movies. It's like, oh, Adele's everywhere and it's all good until suddenly I'm there at the scene of a crime. I wasn't there. I was laying on my bed at home because I was overstimulated going to all these events that I didn't actually go to.
Okay, well, listen, I'm hoping to see you at the Diva Awards this year.
Who knows? I'll be there. But no, yeah,
I mean, you are everywhere. I'm going to start with a question that I put to all the guests now: is what does the world look like for Adelle Barker right now?
Right now, my world looks probably busier than it actually is, right? Because I think I express a lot of what my brain is going through. You know, I am sort of out there doing stuff, just sharing my journey, and I hate that term. And I'm a team leader by trade, right? That's my day job. I'm a team leader, and I hate the term journey, right? Because it does sound a bit X Factory, right? And it does sound like I'm about to bring out a sob story, but I don't. But I share my experience. I share my day to day, because whenever I sort of see things about trans people, and then I see things about LGBTQ, I'm like, I don't want to see all the headlines. I don't want to see the corporate stuff. I don't want to see the media of what they've done. I want to see the person there, because I want to see what they do and who they are, and I want to learn their story, and I want to see their journey. So the world for me is busy. It's always busy, but it looks busier than it is. But that's because I like to spend a lot of time laying down. So I like to, well, that sounds really like innuendo. No, not that kind of way. I just like to lay down and do nothing. I'm a bit like you. I get overstimulated very quickly. I've got 2 kids. I'm parenting. I'm working full time. I'm co-parenting with my ex. I'm trying to, watch as many movies as I want to see. I'm trying to feed my creative energy and my creative need constantly. So I'm always tired. So I think most people that know me, my really close friends, they will know that I spend a lot of my time just eating crisps and watching TV and WhatsApping them random gifs and memes. But the world of Adele Barker, I suppose, right now, it looks quite crazy in my head. I mean, I've only been transitioned 4 years, 4 or 5 years, and already I feel like I've never been truer to who I am or felt more true to who I am in the 36 years that preceded that. Yeah, the world looks fine. Usually it looks horizontal because I'm laying down.
And what are the go-to crisps when you are laying down?
I love nachos. Right, I'm a massive crisp lover. Anything like pickled onion crisp. Walker's pickled onion crisps are the best crisps in the world, but I think that's because they're very selective where they put them in what shops. So I never know where to get them. So I struggle to find them. Them and tomato ketchup and Worcester sauce. They're my free favorite. But I love nachos, and I'm terrible. I will get a box of nachos, loads of cheese, chicken tikka, put it on it, jalapeno, salsa, and I'll sit there and eat them, and I won't even feel sorry about it afterwards. Usually after you eat really starchy food afterwards, you feel bad about yourself. You think I'm going to go for a run. No, I don't. I just sit there and I almost pat myself on the back and say, yeah, you did that. You did it.
Um,
You ate another bowl.
I absolutely love that you put chicken tikka on them. I think that's brilliant.
Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice. Do you know what? Maybe it's like a neurodiverse thing. I don't know. But it's just like I crave it so much. And
Yeah.
yeah, no wonder it's probably why I'm the size I am. But yeah, it's really nice. And sometimes I think one of my ideal nights in is sitting in front of the TV, watching a film that I want, watching a film with a glass of jam shed red wine and some nachos, and the kids are upstairs in bed, and I'm just like, this is my life. Like, this is the trans life that people don't see. It is
Yeah.
my jogging bottoms and my hair up and my makeup off and me sitting there with a dog that doesn't like me, which is interesting. We rescued a dog, right? We rescued a dog the other last year because we had a dog for like 18 years and he passed away. So we rescued a Romanian dog. It loves everyone. Loves my ex. Loves the kids. Me, not interested. I don't think he knows what I do in the house. Like, it's like I go into my room, I go to work and stuff, and then if I'm there, he will just kind of poke his head through, look at it, and go, "Yeah, you stay there. Like, you don't come out of that room. You stay in your pen." And then he just gives me weird looks all the time. We had a dog trainer come over, and they actually turned around and said that he doesn't see the purpose of you. And I was like, "Is that true?" He said, yeah, dogs like a pack. They know what people's
Yeah.
position in the pack is. And he said he looks at you and doesn't understand what you do because you're not the alpha. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, it's a transphobic dog. But yeah,
Right.
judgment.
I mean, do you try and like get its attention, or
I
is it just
do.
a case of you just accepted where you are now?
I do. I sit there and give it TED Talks about transphobia. I sit there and try to explain to it why transphobia is so bad. And I try to explain to him about my journey in my life. He just couldn't care less. He just turns his back to me. Just looks, I'm going to go sit in my cage.
And do you know what? Like, in the talk, you've talked about this a lot, right? About the normalizing of trans lives and stuff. And yes, your journey is out there. You are everywhere. It's beautiful to see you getting recognized for your work, as a corporate change maker, but also the work that you do with the series. I don't know how to be trans, and the way that you're showing up. But you also talk about that normal life. You talk about what it's like to just be a parent. You talk about sitting in your joggers. You're sitting here chatting about the humdrum life, and actually that's something that's so overlooked when it comes to trans folk and identities, is that there is a normal existence that goes on behind all the bullshit and the headlines and the glitz and the DEI talk. There's a normal lives happening.
Yeah, and I think that's the important part of it, right? Because my day-to-day job, like I said, I was a team leader, and I was a team manager. Like, before I transitioned at work. Like, I literally signed off on a Thursday, and then as my old self, and then signed back in on the following Monday as Adele. And I had to kind of like navigate a world of being trans in a male-dominated environment, but also realizing that not everyone cares that I'm trans. Not everyone really cares at all. Because at the end of the day, I'm the person that they come to for certain things about pay or leadership and stuff. They don't want to hear about my stories about transness. They don't care. They don't see that. There's a little part of me that's like, quite like that. Quite like the fact that you don't see. I mean, they appreciate it, they understand it. I'm open about it. They do ask questions. But I'm like, I talk about being trans, but I don't say, well, this is the only thing I'm ever going to talk about. But I just feel like right now I have to bloody talk about it because it's bloody hard. because there's so many things that we should be doing, or there's a certain way to be trans, or a certain idealistic sort of bracket that they put trans people in. And then I just sit there and think, well, I don't know how to be the trans person you want me to be. And that's how my I don't know how to be trans come about. But a lot of it doesn't come down to what I wear or how I look, or I share a post and I put all these like things into it about corporate stuff. So no, I'm just going to talk about myself. Like I said, I'm a trans person, and I really don't know how to have conversations with people about this because I don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
just trying to be me. And hopefully, like, I think it's resonating with people. I think people get it. I think there's probably a few people out there that don't get it, and don't know how to take me, which is fine. But I think I try to kind of show the fact that, like, look, I've got kids, I've got a job. I'm lucky and privileged. I always say that I am privileged to have a job where I can be myself.
Yeah.
I've got friends and a foundation, which is kind of like keeping me humble, which is quite ironic. Is keeping me kind of level as well. But also at the same time, I've got, I'm going through this with nobody around. Like, I could talk to people and I don't quite know how to do, so I try and find other trans people, other trans allies, non-binary people, and I have to learn about their lives to help me understand my life. And it's just I feel like I'm constantly filling up a bucket of knowledge about
Mm.
the LGBTQ community, and I kind of wing it as I go, like my eyeliner, because that's literally the only way I can do it.
The famous winged look that you bust out is it's very impressive.
Is
I
that
cannot do a winged. I cannot do a winged
is it now
highlight.
famous? Is it now
I,
famous? Is it
I
like
think
that's how
so.
I'm going to be known? I
So
love that.
definitely, the wings are a signature look for you, and you ace it. I still can't do it after all these years.
See, that's what I love, right? I reckon if someone made like a logo of me, it would just be like the winged eyeliner, and it'd be like, that's Adele. And then, yeah.
Well, it suits you, and that might be that you might need to incorporate that in the branding for your Substack somehow.
Oh, if anybody out there does logo stuff, do it. Send it to me. I'll put
Hit the
it out
Joe
there.
up. You know, you said you kind of like you clocked out of work on Thursday, came back, and you were Adele, right? But obviously, that's a simplified way of looking at it. I know when we talk about the journey, I work in DEI, right? I understand how wanky that term journey is. But
Yeah.
obviously, it obviously has been a process as well. And I'd love to hear more about the parenting side of that, actually, because I think it's something that people are probably quite curious about, but they're not always comfortable asking. So, what's it like being a trans parent in 2026?
Really strange, because we're living in a world where more people understand that there's trans people out there, but there's a lot of people out there that don't like it,
Mm.
as opposed to people that don't get it from years back. People used to say, "Oh, no, I don't get it. They don't exist." Now people know we exist, but they're just now openly saying they don't like it. Being a trans parent is no different to being, a normal, not I don't want to say normal, a cis parent, a stereotypical parent, as they say.
Yeah.
2.4 children and all that stuff. Because that's what I was, right? I was married with my wife, obviously, and had 2 kids, and we raised them. We looked like a 2.4 children family. And then it become like when I come out as trans, my wife then come out as a lesbian. She now has a girlfriend,
Okay.
and we still live together and co-parent. We're like best friends. And her girlfriend still lives with her ex-husband and their kids, and we all do stuff together. We're like one big queer family. So basically, when people sit there and go like, "Oh, it must be really difficult for the kids," it's like, no, it really, really wasn't. It's actually brilliant for the kids, because the kids have seen 2 parents are happy in who they are, and we've created a nice sort of dynamic in the family together. I've got 2 kids, neurodiverse. One's got autism, one's got ADHD. And I come out as trans in 2021, so that was like 5 years ago. So they were like 4 and 7 or something like that. I can't really remember. It was a bit of a blur time. And my autistic son, okay, all right, yeah, yeah, it is what it is. You're still my dad. Okay, cool. And my little girl like absolutely loves it. Thinks I'm fabulous. And then now she gets to the age now where she thinks I'm cringy, which is quite fun. But she likes to like talk makeup with me and she gets it. And she talks about, you know, when they sit there and say it at school, if like any of them say like, "Oh, like when I first come out, well, why does your dad dress like that?" And they'd be like, "Oh, because my dad's a she, my dad's a woman." And kids are just like, "Oh, okay," like that. And then obviously I've made friends at the school gates with school mums and that. And they used to say to me when I first come out, they'd say, my son come home and we were sitting at the dinner table, and they turned around and said, Tilda's dad, Tilda's other mummy. was there today. And then they're like, oh, other mummy. And then they realise they were talking about me. Kids get it. Kids really
Mm.
are quite simplistic when it comes to it because they've got no built-in hatred or societal expectation of what a trans person is. So they just go, that's a trans person. Oh, okay, cool. So hopefully this is kind of what I hope is that all my kids' friends and the parents and their kids, they see me just living a normal life like everybody else. When they hear trans, they think of me, not Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, not something that's been put on the front page of
Yes.
the media. They see me and they go, "Oh, I know trans people like Adele, like Tilda's parent, like Tilda's mum or dada, like whatever they want to call me." So yeah, as a parent, it's fine. It's crazy. I'm trying to look after two kids that are absolute delights, but they can be very testing. Like I've got an autistic kid that really is black and white with stuff, and he will hyper focus on certain things and talk my ear off. And then I've got a little girl that is a whirlwind of expression and creativity and emotions. And me being trans is probably the last thing they care about because I'm the person that lets them have extra screen time. I'm the person that says they can have dessert or something when they're putting. I'm the one that can let them have sweets and stuff. So yeah, me being trans to them is absolutely probably the least of their concerns because at the end of the day, I'm still the one that tucks them in at night. I'm still the one that helps buy them stuff. I'm the one that sits down and takes them to the cinema or takes them to play dates. I'm still the one that has to shout at them when they're doing something really bad and naughty. But I'm also the one that kind of shows them, and my ex, we're the ones that show them that you don't have to sort of be bound by certain expectations. You can just be who you are. And I think that's it. Expression's brilliant, right? Because you can express in a million different ways. And I
Yeah.
think kids do that without us even have to tell them.
Yes.
So, and I think that's what people forget. All this protect the kids stuff. There is an element there where you do have to protect your kids from things, but protecting them from trans people is probably the least of the things we need to protect them from because trans people are not a threat to kids. Because someone turned around once and said, "Yeah, but because when I did first come out, there were a few parents that were a bit like, I want to just keep my kids away just to protect their innocence." And I was like,
Mm.
"What do you mean innocence?" And I said, "So your innocence is now your fear. You're projecting your fear there, like because they don't care." Like I said, I'm not
Mm.
talking about sex to them. I'm not going to go there and think because that's what I think. This is what a lot of heteronormative people do is when they hear LGBTQ or trans, they automatically think of sex,
Sexual, yeah.
right? And they think of that. So when they think of that, they then think, "Oh, I don't want kids to learn about this." It's like there's no different though, because all you turn around and say to your kids all the time, like, "Oh, prince and princesses," and "Oh, you got a boyfriend now, you got a girlfriend now. Oh, you're a little heartbreaker," and like little things like I saw someone online recently saying about a book that was about two gay dads or something. I can't really know the ins and outs of it. And they were like, I don't care about it being gay, but there's things in it which I don't agree with. And I'm just like, you're finding stuff to disagree with this. I don't get it. I was not being funny. We make our kids read Lord of the Flies. It's about murder. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean? It's like kids going murdering each other. Like you make them read stuff like Oliver Twist. And so I was like, just don't be so picky at what you want to pick up on. But then it's also like they go, oh, just let them be kids. Let them go around and play kiss chase. I'm like, kiss chase? Jesus, what, the non-consensual game?
Yeah.
Yeah, what we teach our kids is fun. It's like, I'm going to chase you, and then when I find you, I'm going to kiss you. It's like, oh, wow, okay. Nice and consensual there. But yeah, it's a minefield, though, because you have to be
Right.
conscious and careful, and people do have different beliefs and different resilience and different angles. And I'm not here to sit there and say people are parenting wrong. I'm not. And I'm not here to sit there and say that my way of parenting is the only way. It's not. I think you just have to run by your kids and see how they go with it. But yeah, I think the biggest thing with my kids is the fact that um, they get to the age now where I'm now cringy. I win awards, I come home, I tell them that I was on a billboard on Piccadilly Circus. They couldn't give a shit. They really couldn't give a shit.
Talk about, I mean, that must be one way to keep you grounded.
It keeps me grounded, right? Like you said, I'm at the Rainbow Honours. I get presented with an award. Like I've been called an inspirational role model. I'm absolutely gasp. I've got Saran Jones congratulating me. I've got Stephen Bailey calling my name up on stage. I'm coming off the stage. I'm getting my picture taken. I've got Ella Morgan coming and giving me a massive hug. I've got all these people sitting there saying how like amazing and congrats on it is, and I'm like absolutely on cloud nine. And I get back on the train and I get back home and I say to my kids, look at what I won, and they go, I couldn't care less. Really
Yeah.
couldn't care less. What is it? What does this mean? Yeah, whatever. Can I go have some more sweets?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have what you want.
It's brilliant, right? And I just think it goes to show that kids are just so unfazed by it. You know, us being queer around kids is not making kids be queer or trans or anything like that.
No.
You know, I turned out queer without queer role models around me or anyone queer. You turned out trans. Both us 80s kids, you know, not. You know, yes, a bit of representation, but probably not anyone around us that we knew. Both of us being from Essex, kind of thing. It definitely wasn't the most accepting place to grow up for anyone different. Yet it still turned out the way we are.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's so funny, isn't it? It's like they sit there and think, oh, if we have like trans people or gay people or whatever around kids, it's going to turn them gay and trans and that. And you just think like, well, how's that possible? It's like there's loads of straight households out there. If that was true, every kid coming out of that household would be
Yeah.
as straight as a ruler,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They would be the straightest person in the world by that context. It's the same as like, oh yeah, but if we teach kids about trans people and trans history and that, they might then think it's a decision they can go out there and do it. I was like, I'm pretty sure out of the history of the last 100 years, we've taught our kids about World War II, and I can safely say there's not many kids that have come out and invaded Poland since. Just sort it out, guys. Like, stop worrying about the amorphous thing that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Worry about just accepting your kids, supporting your kids. Yeah, you might have to put boundaries in. You might have to curb their enthusiasm in certain aspects of life, yeah, just to keep them protected. I mean, I think the word keeping them safe gets kind of used a lot. You think, yeah, we want to keep our kids safe, but we don't want to smother them, and we
No.
don't want to, keep them boxed in, because then that's where things become a problem. And again, there was a thing on the TV the other day, and it really made me sad. I think I saw it online because I didn't actually watch it on TV. And a dad called up saying, like, if my little boy walked in with stilettos on, I would be like, you don't do that, you don't. But his reasoning was nothing to do with, protecting that kid. It was protecting his sense of what
Yes.
he wants his kid to be.
I heard the
And it
chorus
was,
of that. Yeah, I heard the chorus around kind of like it's just not the done thing. It's just that boys
it's
don't
not
do
done
that and
thing.
girls. Yeah.
I want grandkids, he was saying. It's like,
Yes.
okay,
Yes. Yes.
what's that about? Like, that's weird. I'm thinking, I mean, if he'd rung up and said, if my little boy walked in with my wife's stilettos and I was like, you take them off right now, and then the reason I said that to him is because you're going to break your ankle or they don't go with your outfit, that's fine, right? You can say that, yeah? It's just that element, though. But it just goes through, right? The more people talk, the more the truth comes out. Which
Yeah.
is why I think clickbait and rage baiting is so dangerous, because it only gives you that little bit before they tell you the truth. And that's really difficult. People only read the first couple of sentences and the
Yeah.
paragraphs. If you ever let somebody sit there, it's an old tactic they use in the police, isn't it? Let someone keep talking. Trust me, the more they talk, the more that come out, and then the truth will come out in there. It's probably why I tell so much truth. So I can't lie. I can't lie because I don't stop talking. I probably haven't stopped talking on this. So
You're all good. You're all good. I mean, I love it. Hey, listen, you're making my job easy, but and actually, like you, I'm a bit of an oversharer. So if I've left my own devices, God knows
yeah,
what you'll hear. But listen, I mean, I do love the way that you educate. You educate people. Again, I talk about this in my own kind of the way I operate as well. It's never from a judgy place. It's never from a
no.
condescending place of I know better from you. This is what I'm learning, or I have learned that I'd like to share with you. And like you say, I don't know how to be trans. I'm figuring this out as I go along, and I'm trying to bring you along on that journey as well.
That's it. And, I mean, who am I to judge, right? I can't judge. I mean, we have these internal judgments, right? But what I've learned over the years is that I will have instant judgments on things and people. But then it's not for them to sort it out. It's for me to look at. So then I then go, right, okay, that was a weird judgment I just made very quickly. Why? And then I try and work my way through it. And I go, maybe I was being a bit harsh. I don't say it out loud. I don't just say, the judgment. Oh, it's like in your brain, right? And you let your brain work it out. Because people forget your brain's part of you.
Yeah.
Your brain's not a different person. Your brain doesn't go like and be a brain for other people. Your brain's you. And I think it's absolutely amazing that we sit there and we listen to our brain and we act like our brain is being shitty to us. And we think, but that's me. I'm literally
Mm.
telling myself this. Like, so why can't we work together? I mean, brains are assholes, right? Because they could make us happy every day. They could, right? But they choose not to. You know, they choose not to. They sit there and go, do you know what? Today, I'm not going to be happy. And I'm like, just make me happy today. I want to be happy today. Like, no, go for a run. Go and eat some vegetables. No, I don't want to do that, you gaslighting prick.
Give me a
Um,
break.
yeah. So it's kind of like, yeah. So I won't judge people based on that. Right? I will always try and learn. So when I'm telling about my life, I'm learning out loud. I'm living out loud. And hopefully people seeing that and they can be like, oh, okay, it's quite good to make mistakes. It is
Yeah.
okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail and learn from it. Like I look back, I'm one of those reflective trans people you see online. Like I will post things from my past, like pictures from my past, but a lot of
Mm.
trans people won't, right? They
Yes.
will bury it, and that's absolutely fine. That's how they are progressing with their life. But for me, I feel like I did so much to get me to this point that I owe something to that person to
Yeah.
allow me to reflect back and, you know, look back on the things I said, the things I did, um, and the way I was, and then kind of almost use that power to kind of know what I won't do the same, but also know why I am the way I am and being the way I am and learning more. Not make the same mistakes, or maybe delve back in and go, actually, I need that part of that person with me right now because that person was strong, and that person, you know, the strongest person I've ever met is probably myself prior to transitioning, because how the hell he got here to get me to here is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't get that, and I always kind of I'm quite sort of proud of myself. I say like I never had a role model growing up, so I make myself my own role model. And that sounds really wanky. It sounds like, oh my God, the size of her head right now. But that's kind of how I had to take the bull by the horns. It's like, if I can't find somebody, I need to look at myself. And that's
Yes.
kind of what I did. I'm so kind of confident and happy sharing who I am because I know that I'm the only person that can show that perspective to its true capacity. I can hold the power by showing who I am and why I am the way I am and the
Yeah.
things I do. And I think that's it. And I think it's kind of like saying I don't know how to be trans is not a slight on any trans person. It's not a dig. It's not anything. It can come across as quite self-deprecating to a degree, but it's not. It's me being honest.
Yeah.
I didn't get a handbook when I transitioned. I didn't wake up and go, oh, I'm trans now. You know, like the film Beetlejuice when they got the handbook for the recently deceased. I didn't get the handbook for the recently transitioned. I didn't get that. I haven't got an instruction manual on how to be trans. I make mistakes.
Yes.
Um, I don't quite understand like when people think like, oh, I know a trans person and then they do this. I'm like, well, that's not me. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm being me. And then I'm learning things. Like, I put makeup on a certain way. I dress a certain way. Even now, I look back 4 years ago and I think, bloody hell, look at the state of me. State that makeup. State that. But I'm allowed to do that because I'm learning. Let me
Yeah.
go through my awkward teenage phase. I'm allowed to do that.
Yes. You absolutely fucking are. We are as queer people, right? You know, queer time theory really talks about that. Firstly, Beetlejuice, fantastic film, one of my faves of all time. I love that analogy there. But also, I love the fact that I don't know how to be trans, and the work you're putting out there is providing that almost that guidebook for other trans people. Not all of them, but some
Mm.
people will use your work as a guidebook to help them navigate their own journey. So, and actually, speaking as an ally, your work is massively informative, enlightening, and I don't want to use inspiring because I'm not sure that's the right word, but it certainly educates me in a way that you're bringing me along with you.
Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
because, you know, that's kind of the aim. You know,
Yeah.
I started it as just literally almost a journaling of just who I am, and that the thing with me is once I hang on, once I grab onto something, it's very hard to let go. Like I use a hashtag. I'm a millennial. I'm gonna always use a hashtag. Every time I can't use a hashtag, and it is that idea of like I will share what I need to share. And the thing is, I can sit there and I can literally just watch something on the news, and let's be honest, ask any trans person, you put the telly on, I can guarantee that, you know, there's a high chance they'd be talking about trans people on a
Yeah.
certain channel, right? And you just think like, then you start looking around, you think, how many trans people are actually on this panel? None. How many of them actually
No.
spoken to trans people? None. Who's that? Oh, that's Piers Morgan. Right, okay, that helps. Do you know what I mean? So do you sort of look at those kind of aspects? So I just think, well, I'm going to write what I want to write. And I kind of, the problem with me, I suppose, is that I don't filter it probably enough as I should. Sometimes I will just blurt it out. I'll put it on sort of the screen, and I don't do a lot of editing into it. I just do my grammar and my spelling editing. That's pretty much it. I'm like, let's just structure this a little bit better so it doesn't look like an absolute psycho's written it. It doesn't look like a serial killer's note. And then I was like, ah! So I kind of like, I structure it in a way. But yeah, it's always like a kind of, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I think, and this is what I'm going to learn from it, and
Yeah.
this is what I want to do going forward. There's always the way I write. That's how I
Yeah.
write.
It works. It absolutely does. Listen, I'm so excited to dive into your origin story. So, Adele, are you ready to pause and rewind?
Yes! Well, you
Here we
said
go.
the name
Here
of
we
the
go.
title. Said the name of the title.
Here we go. Take me back. Tell me all about little Adele.
Ah, little Adele. Confused little Adele, right? If you ever want to think back, if you ever watch a movie, I was the kid sitting in front of a telly, dreaming of a world, away from the world I lived in. I didn't have a tough upbringing. I'm not going to sit there and say that, I had a tough upbringing. It wasn't. It was very kind of, it was boring. It was normal, right? It was just basic. But there was a lot there of confusion, of not knowing who I was, and just sort of living a world of just immersing my way into like writing. Lots of writing, lots of creativity, wanting to make movies and stuff like that. So because it was like, look, if I'm finding my own life quite dull, I want to create another world where I could do that. Yeah, so growing up, it was pretty basic, really. I wasn't really good at a lot of stuff. I didn't play a lot of sports. I think I tried to play sports in my teens and I broke my wrist playing football. Not in a really bad tackle way. Someone kicked the ball, it hit my hand, it broke. That's ridiculous, right? What a way to break your wrist. Someone kicks a ball at you. Absolutely insane. So I was never really good at anything like that. I was always one of those people, and I mean, I look back now, right? I'm 40 years old. So when I look back now, I was thinking about this the other week. I was like, I never won anything as a kid. I never won sports stuff. I never won awards. I never got number one and anything. I was always kind of like in the middle or just behind. And I don't really know why. And I think that's because it makes sense. I wasn't really being who I was, and I don't think I knew who I was. All my friends were having like girlfriends and stuff, and I just didn't really know how to have a girlfriend, so I'd kind of just sit there and self-sabotage the girlfriend things. I'd get a girlfriend and I'd self-sabotage it by just dumping them. I dumped a girl on Valentine's Day once because I thought that had to happen. Why did I do that? What an arsehole. Didn't know how to be a boy, didn't know how to be a boyfriend. Why did I do that? Because I was an arsehole. So it's just one of those things, right? So growing up, pretty bland. You wouldn't have picked me out of a lineup of anything, kind of hidden. And then getting into my teens, started to sort of think like, oh, what's this feminine energy coming from? Where's it coming from? What does it mean? And then you end up being in the early sort of noughties, late 90s, noughties. You could say, if you look back, I was just a kid dressing up in private, like a cross dresser, and just being kind of like hidden away. And this is pre-internet, remember? The internet
Yeah.
wasn't massive then. So, then you start to find chat rooms, don't you? And you start to find things online.
Yes.
And it's not as, it was a lot more non-filtered back then, and you didn't know who you were talking to. I mean, luckily I didn't do anything silly, I didn't go out there, but it was that kind of, you start to learn a little bit, but also I didn't got, started sharing things over the years, having secret accounts of like alter ego accounts. I mean, a lot of trans people out there that I kind of met through that turned out trans. It's quite interesting. But it was that kind of thing. So yeah, my origin story would be really boring. Like, trust me, if it was a movie, my origin story would have been told with a narrator and done before the credits started rolling.
But that's a far cry from now, and I wonder whether the fact that you're so out there now in terms of the work, not in terms of who you are. I mean, you're unapologetic about who you are now, right? And I think that's what people love about you in terms of how you communicate, in terms of how you dress. I mean, in terms of your makeup, your visuals. You love a selfie. And I just
Love a
wonder,
selfie.
you nailed them. And I wonder whether all of that is to counteract some of that feelings about your origin story being bland, as you say.
Yeah, no, you're probably spot on there. It's pretty much that way, right? I think there was nothing there that was authentic about me, other than I was just a human being, right? There was nothing there that I felt like I was good at. I knew what I was doing. I could become, because everything I did, I was doing half-heartedly because
Right.
I
Just with the
wasn't being
motions,
myself.
just going through the motions kind of thing.
Yeah, just going through the motions. And the thing is, I didn't truly know what it was. I was just daydreaming through life. I didn't, my mum used to say after like parents' evenings and that, she said, "Oh, they said you daydream a lot." And I was like, well, I couldn't really say why. I was like, well, yeah, because life's boring. Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone seems to be quite happy in doing stuff that they want to do, and I don't really know what I'm doing. So I'm not immersing myself into
Yeah.
movies and creating stuff. So I'm trying to create a world for myself, and it's really difficult to do so.
Have you had retrospective conversations about that with people about your kind of how you found the world, but more importantly, maybe
Yeah,
how they viewed you at that time?
yeah. I think I was always kind of a little bit odd when you think about it, but not odd in the sense that I was so out there that people are like, oh, that's an odd kid. I was just kind of like a bit daydreamy, a bit
Mm,
creative. And I think because I started doing lots of writing and making little movies and stuff like that, they just thought this kid's creative. Like,
mm,
like this kid likes to be creative. But there was never any push to make me go to creative stuff. I mean, when I left school, I went to college and I did film and media studies, and that was fun. That was the time to be creative. Movies and TV and creating stuff and writing. That was my bag. But no one pushed me to pursue it. So I kind of then just went into mundane jobs. And then
yeah,
the jobs I had leading up to working where I do now was just basic jobs, boring jobs. And I would literally run through the motions. I wouldn't care less about what I was doing. I would say in my 20s, I was probably not a nice person because I was probably angry with myself. I was living on the edge. And when I say that, not in a cool way, I was living on the edge that I was always going to be found out, that
right,
I was different. I was always going to be found out that I was secretly dressing up, and all that stuff. It was one of those kind of shameful feelings because
yeah,
during the noughties going into the tens, as in tens, like anything trans or cross dressing related was kind of shameful. I mean,
yeah,
Little Britain didn't really help with the "I'm a lady" sketch.
yes,
So things like that always come across quite like, and I know that wasn't their intent. Like, there wasn't. It was just of the time. And I think that's what I always would say to people. I can't sit there and slag something off too much. I'm like, because that was of the time, right? We used to watch X Factor and Pop Idol, and we used to laugh at the people that were bad, and we used to judge people. I mean, that's literally
yes,
of the time. Doesn't make it right, but it was of the time. So I was in that world of just kind of like trying to find who I was. And I think what I did though during my sort of mid 20s, I started doing podcasting.
okay,
During the time when podcasting was very small, it was very niche. Not, and I used to do loads. And I think that was my creative outlet, is to reach out to other people. But it then took over, and I become a bit of a Jack the Lad character. And then I used to chat to a lot of other podcasters, like from America and across the country, and they weren't exactly, looking back, the most accepting than that. And then it would kind of get into this weird thing where I'm almost like part of the gang, but I didn't like being part of the gang.
yes,
And it was really weird. So when you look at like a lot of podcasts now, and they can be quite male dominated, right? From a hetero sister, that's what it was like back then, and I was part of that, and I didn't like it. So I kind of tried to like steer away from it. And then it just got to the point where the older you get, you start getting tired of hiding, and I think
mm,
that's it. And I think you just got, when you get to rock bottom. And I was speaking about this loads of times. But you get to rock bottom, you just think it's either do or die, right? And I think that is literally the bluntest way I can say it. And then that's when you start thinking, right, I need to do something about it. Because my coming out wasn't like over time. It happened like bang, like literally.
really,
Yeah, it happened over like a course of a few months, and people were like, "Oh," so I literally started the year off, and then was going downhill. And then when I come out, people didn't even expect it. Do you know what I mean? They just like, "Where did that come from?" And it was just like, yeah. So now I kind of almost feel like I will never apologize for who I am, because I spent so many years of my life apologizing constantly for who I was.
and when you look at your life now and describing your past life as boring and living on the edge and constantly worrying that you're going to be found out, has that all lifted now?
Well, yeah. So I always hold the power now, right? I hold the power in my life because authenticity is something I never had.
Mm,
Because any trans person out there that hasn't fully accepted it, because it's not about knowing you're trans, it's about accepting you're trans. It's two
yeah,
different things. And authenticity is my power. It's my superpower, right? And not a lot of people can kind of sort of delve into their own authenticity. When I sort of realized that I was trans, like accepting I was trans and realizing that I had to own it, is like, well, no, I'm never going to apologize for who I am. I'm not going to shy away from being trans. I am a trans woman. That is literally, how I am. Like, I am a woman. I happen to be trans. There's lots of different ways you could say it, but that's who I am. So I own it. No one can use that against me. Like,
yeah,
no one can call me trans as a slur, because I'll just be like, that makes no sense. Like, I am trans. It's that kind of aspect of like, no, I know who I am now. and I'm learning as I go. And I think this is something that a lot of people do learn earlier on. They're cis hetero, and that they kind of learn that quite quickly. Trans people and queer people in general really have to learn as they go, but they have to learn in a place where it's kind of like, yeah, you can learn as you go, but you've also got to do these 100 things as well, like go to work and do this and pay mortgages and pay rent and buy the. It's that kind of aspect of like, I'm running with it. So yeah, I think accepting who I was the biggest shift in my mental health, biggest shift in my well-being. And now but then I'm very, like I said before, I'm very reflective. So I look back at how I got there, and I
Yeah.
take bits from that to how I got there.
Are you able to appreciate the fact, and this is focused on your origin story, and looking back at the younger version of yourself, and maybe giving yourself with that reflective lens, giving yourself a bit of a pat on the back and recognition for how your creativity has helped you get to where you are as well. Even kind of not being at a point of accepting, but understanding how that creative, introspective side of you has enabled you to be who you are now.
Yeah, no, creativity is something that spurred me along. If I didn't have creativity, I don't think I'd be here. I think the
Yeah.
creativity is in everything I do. Even my day-to-day job, I'm creative in
Yeah.
that. And I'm creative in the work I do outside of work, or the trans advocacy. I'm creative in just anything, and creative in my parenting style, and just everything I do. I like to be creative. I mean, I'm not an artist like Shah, my ex that I live with. She's an artist. She loves painting, and I
Yeah.
look at her paints sometimes, and I just think like, wow, that's really something. Like, I could never do that. But I could write on paper loads of stuff and create some kind of like
Yes.
blog or some story, or I can make a story, and I can create something with my makeup and with my outfits, and just
Yeah.
kind of be, my creativity has always been there. And I just think that I'm kind of really owning it now. Like at work, like, trust me, if you give me a boring, bland PowerPoint, I'm gonna jazz it up, right?
Mm.
Whether you like it or not. It's just because it has to be vibrant, it has to be there. And I've shared infographics and stuff that I've made, and I'm like, they have to be eye catching. They have to be, because that's what I do. I feel like I'm an eye catching person.
Well, you're a storyteller, and actually, I am someone that really believes in the power of storytelling through my being in the events industry for 20 years, and being a podcaster, working in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Is You have really harnessed the power of storytelling, but not just that, your own narrative to heal, to communicate, to kind of like advocate for positive change. So I think that storytelling is a massive part of your creativity.
Oh yeah, and I love it. I love it. And do you know what's really weird is that sometimes, like, even with my storytelling, is that I'm not one of the person. I don't like reading off script. I can't.
Mm.
Like, you've probably seen me. Like, sometimes I will literally walk in without any notes. They're all up there, and it either works or it doesn't work. It's just, I feel like I have to be in the moment of what
Yes.
I'm feeling and what I'm saying, which is why, trust me, when I get given that award, when I got given the Rainbow Honours, I was not expecting. I honestly was not expecting. I know everyone says that, but I honestly wasn't. I was on the furthest table. I was pretty much next door. And then when it took me about an hour to get to the stage. And then when I was there, I didn't know what to say, and I still don't remember what I said.
It was
Recorded
fucking
it.
funny.
Oh, okay. There you go. There you go. No, that's good, right? Luckily Jude, recorded it, and they sent it to me, and I was like, I don't remember saying that. I was like, and I think part of my brain is that I can kind of like remove myself from the moment and just be me, and things shine through. So yeah, I say stupid stuff. I make people laugh. I like making people laugh, because I always say that if I don't laugh, I cry. But laughter's powerful, right? We can laugh at ourselves. We should laugh at ourselves, because nobody's too important not to, you know, have fun, right? We should
Yeah.
always find humor in something, as long as the intent is never to punch down or vindicate people or whatever. But I'll happy sit there and make jokes at my own expense, and
Yeah.
and be fun about it. And then that's kind of what I like. Sometimes I probably make jokes a bit too much. In pick your moment. This is not time to make a joke. And I've done that and I think I've learned that over the years.
Yes. Well, it's a balance between it being self-deprecating and a tool to engage and to resonate with
Yeah.
people. And you wrote about this really beautifully just last week, actually, about I don't, I want to be funny, but actually, if you just see me as palatable because I'm funny, then that's not good enough for me. And then
Yes.
there's a fine line between it being that side of things and being a pure defense mechanism. And I feel like you've probably almost hit the nail on the head with where you want to sit with humor.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I did. I remember I posted that last week, and it was purely to do with like, I'll go back to being the funny trans one. I'll go back
Yeah.
to being the one that's not political, the one that doesn't make things awkward. And then I put an FYI underneath. I said, if that's how you see me, then you don't see me at all.
You don't see me, you don't know me. And I think that's really powerful, because I think it's okay. It's okay to be the clown sometimes. It's okay to make people laugh. Like you said, we need it. We need it now in 2026. But that's not all I am. And actually, what's going on in society, media, politics, education, all of that, it does hurt me. It does hurt people I love. And I think it really took that from that.
Good. I like to kind of be a bit powerful sometimes.
You
I can
you are.
sometimes
You
be
are.
out there.
You are. Adele, younger Adele, really creative. What was the goal in terms of that question of what did you want to do when you grew up? Was it film and creativity? Did
I
you
think
know?
it
I
was.
didn't really know.
No, I mean, I think I wanted to make movies. I wanted to make films and stuff like that. And maybe if I'd been pushed a bit more, given more of a kind of step, I might have done that.
Yeah.
But
I'm
yeah, no,
curious. Oh, no, after you.
I've always liked movies, and I've always liked writing and stories and stuff. So I've always kind of like, even now I still write stuff, and I don't always share it. I mean, sometimes I just write it just for me, and I think that's what I just like creativity. I mean, now I look at the world, and you make a film on your phone right now.
Yeah.
Literally, like I feel like, oh God, if that was around when I was younger, I think I would have gone crazy. I think I would have made so much stuff and
Yeah.
thrown it up on YouTube and that. But yeah, can't wish the time away. I mean, nothing's stopping me doing it now, other than the fact that
Absolutely.
I prefer to lay down and eat nachos.
I hear you. I hear you. What did early career look like, and how did that lead you to where you are now?
So I left college. I was working at Tesco behind a meat counter. So butch.
I've
I
worked
was
in
such a
behind a meat counter as well, and it's rough.
I was a butcher. I was a butcher for a little bit. Absolutely insane. That was ridiculous. I used to work on Sundays. I used to be really hungover, and I used to just go and hide in the meat fridge because it was really nice and cold. So yeah, that was a nice way to get over a hangover. I left there, and then I was like, oh yeah, what am I gonna do about my job? And then I just fell into like just day-to-day stuff. And then I worked for Boots, and I worked in the warehouse loading lorries. That was really dull. And then I worked for a company packing labels into boxes, literally just packing labels into boxes and checking them. That was absolutely terrible job for me, not a terrible job for other people. I mean, trust me, you want a job that just kind of like structured, go get that job. Perfect for structured. But for
Yeah.
me, I lost the will to live, right? Purely because I think I knew there was something more I could do. I could be more creative. I mean, I utilized it by whenever I was at these two jobs, the Boots and this other company, I'd always kind of like slip into kind of being able to be like the assistant manager. I mean, I wasn't Dwight from The Office. I wasn't assistant to the regional manager or anything like that. But I'd kind of always like, if they were off, they would give me the reins to do the paperwork stuff. I'd always be good at kind of just sort of like getting involved with that. But I think for me, I always felt like I was kind of better than that job. It even got to the point, I remember my supervisor was leaving, and then we had to apply for the supervisor's job. And I thought in my sense of who I was at the time was like, oh, that's easy. It's going to be me, right? I'm going to get that
Mm.
job. And I remember going for the interview, and the guy who was above the supervisor said, I'm shocked you've even applied for this because you don't look like you give a shit about this job. And that's in an interview.
Okay.
And I just turned around and I said, yeah, I probably don't. And that was a breaking point for me because I was like, no, I need to leave. So I
Right.
did, and I left, and I went and got a job at Sky as an engineer, putting up dishes and stuff. I didn't know how to do any of that, but they taught you brilliantly. So I was like, brilliant, got my own van and everything. And even I was only an engineer for 18 months. And then I become like an ambassador where you went around and supported engineers. And I was like, wow, how have I done that? I don't even think I'm that good at my job, but I think I was good with people. And I think that's
Mm.
where it kind of led to. I was good with chatting to people, coaching people, helping people. And I think that's when I started to kind of think, oh, actually, I'm quite good at this. So I can do this. And then going from that, I then become a team manager, which again played into the skills of leading people, coaching people, helping people. And then obviously we changed our role into team leaders. Now I'm a team leader. And I look at the leadership side of things and I think, yeah, that's what I like doing. I like leading people. I like helping people along. And I think it's good for my values. It's like, I'm not here to tell people what to do. Again, you look at my work I do. I'm never telling people what to do. I'm
No.
always showing people helping people do what they need to do. So yeah, so it's kind of a bit of a long sort of trajectory, but I think I've got to a point now where I like working as a leader with people, not a leader as in dictating, but supporting, helping, getting people through change. That's literally my job, right? Is taking people through change. Who best to take people through change than the one person that changed one massive thing of her life?
That skill set blended with your personal lived experience is what's led you to inclusion activism
Hmm.
work.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously my team leader role is my day to day, is what I do. But joining the network at Sky was
Yes.
where I truly kind of like started to open up and see a world of wow. Like
Mm.
this is crazy, right? There's so many people out there who are queer and LGBT, learning new things, learning new skills, learning better public speaking, hosting panels, being on panels, and then just kind of like just being part of a community. And I think that saves me,
Yeah.
because when I come out and transitioned, I was like transitioning in front of people that were just my colleagues and and my team. And then but I was transitioning in a company where I could then go and reach out to a network and get support and support from there. And it kind of just kept me going.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I mean, I've talked about on this podcast time and time again, is that so many of us find ourselves in this space because of the work that we do with staff networks and employee
Hmm.
resource groups, and why they are so valuable and need to be protected. What's it like being a woman in those spaces working with engineers? What's it like being a trans woman in those spaces working with engineers? Because I have a feeling that, as you started off this podcast saying, most people don't care, that in those environments, on the whole, it's probably not as people think it is.
Yeah, I think because of the way I am and who I am,
Mm.
I want people to feel comfortable around me. So I'm very open about who I am. I mean, if I'm out and about seeing an engineer and go into a customer's house, I don't walk in and put the red carpet down and
Yeah.
sashay in and be like,
With a trans
"Hi,
phone behind you.
I am the trans team leader. I am here to watch my." There's none of that. Like I'm literally just put on what I need to, and I keep myself to myself. Like, and I work with the customer. I talk, and do you know what? 9 times out of 10, customers are kind of just don't ask or care,
Yeah.
and they don't say anything. I mean, you get the odd ones where you'll go to a certain customer's house. It happened once where the guy was staring at me, and I was there with my engineer, and he was working, and he was staring at me, and I kind of thought, okay, I don't like the way he's looking at me.
Mm.
I've already introduced myself, who I am, and he didn't seem quite happy about me being there. And then he just basically told me to leave. He just said, "Look, if you're not actually doing anything, can you get out?" And I just left. And I don't know, but there was a part of me that thought, you know what? I'm not. It's his house. It's his
Mm.
house. He has every right to have me not there. It's absolutely fine. I'm just going to leave. But I just thought, yeah, whatever. And then my engineer come out and said, like, that was a bit harsh. That wasn't very nice. And I was like,
Yeah.
look, don't take it personally. I was like, it's his house. If he doesn't want me in his house, he has every right to not keep me there. I wasn't doing anything. It kind of did little reminders that, obviously I can be me and be free, but there are people out there that don't get
Yes.
me or won't understand it. But, I will never make it awkward. I'll never make it me, them, and all that stuff. And I'm kind of very confident in knowing that I know what my role is, I know what my job is, so I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
You know, I think the hardest thing is when I have to ring up people that, a customer or someone over the phone and they don't know I'm trans. I've had to kind of sometimes have to tell them I'm trans because they get confused when I say what my name is, and they're like, I'm confused. And I'm like, and then,
Yeah.
but then not, most of them just go, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. And then it's just like you
Yeah.
move on. But
Yeah.
from a workplace perspective, my colleagues have been brilliant. They don't ever see anything, different. They treat me as we all laugh and joke and get on with it. And, hardly ever, I never sit there and talk about being trans with them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just, I am who I am. I mean, I'll mention things every now and again. Like, trust me, if I'm walking in and I'm really hot, like I get really hot because of my hormones, they'll start laughing because I'll turn the cold on in the office room or the in the meeting room, and then they all start putting their coats on. And I'm just like, and they're like, oh, Dell's back. Dell's having a hormonal flush. Like, here we go. Like,
Yeah.
and we all got to sit here and freeze to death. But it's, it's absolutely fine. And then, to be fair, a few of them come out and say, oh, I read that thing you posted on LinkedIn, was really good. And they do ask a few questions. But yeah, it's just getting to know people as
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And you're creating that space and giving people permission to probably, as you say in your writing, I'm probably talking about the things that most people whisper about. I'm just doing it loudly.
Yeah, no, that's it. And I think
Yeah.
that's it. And I think sort of probably some things are probably right about that people think like, didn't need to share that. Probably could have kept that quiet. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not
Yeah.
hiding anything, and I'm not saying anything detrimental about anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've learned as well. I would never write about other people because
Yeah.
I can't speak for them. So
No.
I only ever speak for myself.
Yeah, and I think that, and I hope that you feel this, is that there's no expectation on queer or marginalized people to educate for other people. And I think the way you write, you don't expect all trans people to be as open as you are. You're
No.
choosing to do it your way. And that is what other people need to learn to respect as well, is that you're doing it your way. You're not putting that expectation on other people. You want it. You're coming from a place of, gee, I want to share this, because
Mhm.
you're probably doing it as much for you as for other people.
Yeah. The reason I write is for me, and then I would never like to fall into a part of writing for the sake of it, where I
Yeah.
didn't truly believe in what I was saying.
Yeah.
So it would feel hollow, and I don't like that. I don't
No.
like reading something that's hollow.
Yeah. You said that you have you have been your own role model, right? And I don't think that sounds wanky. Someone said it on the podcast the other day. They actually said, they found their strength in themselves and in books and such. And I wonder now, almost 5 years on in your transition, whether now you have people that you're able to look up to and maybe have shaped and inspired you.
Yeah, and I think that's me learning through the community, right?
Yes. And seeing
Because
people out there.
and seeing people out there, like, do you know what's really weird? I'm inspired by pretty much everybody that is themselves. So I will sit in all these rooms that we get invited to. If we're ever invited to, I never take for granted to get invited to an event. I never get taken for granted. I don't expect it. I don't expect anything there. If I'm sitting at a Rainbow Honours or a British Diversity Awards or a European Diversity or something, the energy in that room, I just take in. And then I chat to everybody. And like I said, I'm a bit of a pinball. I go around talking to everybody. Like I remember, last year at the British LGBT Awards, I was at a table with my network, and I just kept getting up and walking off because I kept seeing people. I was like, oh, there's Jordan Gray. I knew Jordan Gray before she transitioned. We used to be friends and like back in the day. And so I went over and saw her. I was like, oh, it's Ella Morgan. I'm going to go and say hi to Ella Morgan. Oh, there's Ali Bromley. I'm going to go and chat to Ali. All these people, like I wasn't shy about going and chatting to them and telling them how inspirational they all are, because everybody wants to hear it. And if it's true, they deserve to fucking hear it. Right.
Yes.
And that's what I always say. I was like, trust me, if that person's inspiring me, they're inspiring someone else, and they need to fucking know that they're doing that. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you say it to people. Like, I think when I met Boy George last year at the European Diversity Awards, I crumbled a bit in front of him when I was chatting. I was like, I was just inspired. I didn't know what to say, but I was like, you're such an inspiration for so many people out there.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, meeting other people, but there's people out there that are not like quote unquote celebs that inspire me.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
Ali and Adam, like absolutely amazing couple, got married, like, and I just think like I'm inspired by them. Marty, Trans History Week, inspired. Like I literally walk around these tables, I'm chatting to these people, like our LGBTQ mummies, like I
love them. Yes.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just walk around and like some of these people don't even know that I'm sort of fangirling over them, but I am.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
just sort of I get all the vibes and the energy of them, and just everybody in that room, anyone that chooses to wake up and be themselves, I'm inspired. I am inspired by them.
I mean, listen, it's the reason I started this podcast, right? I get to speak to people that I look up to and that really inspire me and teach me. How do you feel when people come up to you on the flip side of that as someone that is out there as a leader, the way that you are? How do you feel about that when it's reversed and people come up to you?
Yeah, I think someone paid them. So I can be self-deprecating to myself. I'm allowed to call everybody else inspiring, but when they call me inspiring, I think it's a joke. So I always think like that. And I said this the other I went to the London Stock Exchange the other week for the announcement for the shortlist for the British Diversity Awards.
Which you're up for.
I'm up for. But I was there, and it was so weird because I'm standing in rooms with all these people, and they've all got like titles and acronyms. These companies are amazing. And they'd made obviously a mistake on the name badges. I think someone had moved to one of the bars, and so it actually said I work for HSBC. So I was like, I don't. Yeah, so no, but so it was a conversation starter. So when people were like, "Oh, Joe, you," I was like, "No, I don't work for banking." So I kind of used it as a conversation. And I had a bit of fun with it. But I joked around with people all night, saying, this is not doing great for my imposter syndrome, because now I'm starting to think there's an Adelle Barker out there that works for HSBC, and I'm getting all her invites and all her awards. And then one day, now it's got to the point now where people have been giving me all this stuff, and they're like, "This has gone too far, but we can't say anything, so we're gonna have to just keep giving her stuff until she goes away." It's just kind of like, there's a poor Adele Barker out there that's like doing nothing, like doing all this work, and she's getting nothing for it. But yeah, no, I joke around it. But no, when people say it to me, I just find it amazing. But it's nice. I do get it. Because if I am inspiring someone, of course I want to hear that I'm inspiring
Yes.
them, because it helps me keep moving forward exactly the same way as I would like to tell someone else they're inspiring, because they fucking deserve to hear it. So yeah, I can understand it. I'm a bit better at taking compliments than I ever used to be.
I'm glad to hear that. My final question for this segment is, looking back so far, what are you most proud of to date?
I mean, I'm proud of lots of things, right? I'm proud of obviously being a parent. I'm proud of having my kids. I'm proud of navigating them through this weird fucking world that we live in, right? But I think from a personal about me standpoint, the proudest moment is every day looking in the mirror and just seeing who I am. That's how proud I am, because I could easily have not been here. Easily. That would have been an easy way out. It's just give up and not do it. But actually pushing myself to actually accept who I am and, be who I am. That's when I feel proud, like that I can be myself, and I can be here for my kids and my friends and my family.
I guarantee they're all 100% glad you're here too.
They are. I mean, my kids definitely are, because I'm the one that helps them, gives them extra screen time, and lets them have sweets on like a Saturday morning and stuff. But yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm proud of just keeping going, proud of being here, proud of being who I am.
The House of Happiness is London's ultimate sober clubbing extravaganza. We're led and delivered but created for all, whether teetotal, sober curious, or just taking a booze snooze. We love a day rave, and on a Saturday afternoon you can expect banging house tunes, DJs on decks, dancers on podiums, and a fully stocked alcohol-free bar. Flamboyant, bold, with a glitter station to boot. We're all about safe, inclusive fun, and we even have a pre-meet so that you can make new sober buddies before you hit the dance floor. Grab your tickets from Instagram now at House of Happiness Official, and we'll see you on the dance floor. Are you ready for some quickfire questions?
Always.
Here we go. What album, book, or movie has had a lasting impact on you?
A book, How to Fail by Elizabeth Day.
Amazing book, amazing podcast,
amazing sort of thesis on life. You can you can fail in stuff and still be a winner. And I think it's just about learning from your failures. All these people that sit there and say that they've never failed at anything, and they haven't lived or grown. Yeah, I always sit there. That's a really good book, really good podcast. I read it quite a lot. And movie, La La Land. Absolutely love La La Land. It is my number one movie. I could talk about it all day. I love the music. I love the acting. I love the aesthetics. I love the choreography. I love the dancing. I love the vibe, everything.
A question I didn't get around to earlier was kind of like and it's very much something that I took from being an Elizabeth Day fan. Is there something that felt like a failure that's turned out to be the making of the Adele we know now?
Well, yeah, I used to kind of try to articulate a way of failing to be a man so I could be the woman that I am. But it's trying to articulate that without it sounding like I chose. I tried to be a man and I chose to be a woman. So I tried to articulate it in a certain way. I think I tried to articulate it once. Maybe that's my failure, is not being able to articulate what I mean by that. Because I was trying to articulate it, and it did come across like I was making out like it was a fucking choice. It's like I wasn't good enough as a man, so I'm going to go out and be a woman, which then made me feel really shitty, because I was like, actually, that's what people think, is that like these swimmers that don't win medals at being a man, they go become women. Yeah. And then it really makes me feel like shit. So I'm like, how can I articulate it? So maybe that's a failure. It's the fact of not knowing how to fully articulate my point on trying to explain what my true failure was. But there's lots of little failures.
I don't think anyone could accuse you of not being able to articulate generally, because you do very well. Cynthia Fortledge is a great person that talks about the essence of what you've just said, actually. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
I love her. I love her as well.
What's the saying you live by, and one that you put in the bin?
I wrote this down. Authenticity is the one thing that you never grow out of.
Love.
That is a saying I live. And I live by that because it's the one thing that you're never great at being authentic. One that I'm going to put in the bin is live, laugh, love, because it means fuck all. It means fuck all, right? And no one understands it. No one knows what it fucking means. It's live, laugh, love. It's like, yeah, okay. What the fuck does it mean? And what are you doing? And you know what? It's always the people that are really nasty that say it. It's like those people that say, "Oh, be kind." And you think, "Be kind? I've seen your tweets. You're the most nastiest person in the world." Yeah. So yeah, live, laugh, love. I don't quite get it because it seems a bit like, right,
Nah. Yeah.
yeah. It's like, yeah. Work on that.
So there's no live, laugh, love signs in your house?
No, and if I walk in and I see one, I'll be like, you don't even know what that fucking means, do you? You're like, live, laugh, love, love. Have an original thought in your brain. See, I can get quite judgmental when I get angry.
That's okay.
No, it's fine.
With live, laugh, love, it's allowed. What's been the best adventure of your life so far?
I'll tell you what, growing boobs. I'm going to be completely honest. Growing boobs is weird. You know, especially as a 40-year-old woman, trans woman, is still, I knock them so much and I walk into doors and they hurt. You know what I mean? And it is that kind of like, ow, that kind of like, awesome feeling of like, ow, that really fucking hurt. And then there's a moment of like euphoria. Just the fact that sometimes I'd knock it with my arm, like elbow, and I just think like, fucking hell, is this so weird? I didn't have boobs 5 years ago. Now I've got boobs. And I grew them myself. Like they're not breast augmentation or nothing. I mean, it helps being a fuller figured woman, but yeah. So that's an adventure, right? Boobs, navigating the world with boobs. Oh, and also people stare at them a lot more now, which is quite interesting. I took stuff down to the skip, to the dump, to the recycling centre, and I was just wearing a vest top, and I got a new bra, which wasn't the same. It was quite bouncy. I didn't realise. And I was going up and down the stairs and they were bouncing up and down. I could feel they were bouncing. And one of the guys actually stops and says, "Cool, you know where everything goes, not like those other women that come here and have to ask what things are going." And I was like, yeah. And I thought, he's saying that to me as he's staring at my bouncy boobs. So yeah, again, what an adventure.
What's not an answer I was expecting or that I've ever had before, which I love. What 3 words would you use to describe you and your origin story?
Just getting started, I'd say.
Just getting started.
Yeah. I always feel like I'm just getting started. I feel like that's, every day I wake up, just getting started. I'm just, I'm 40 years old and I feel like still got a lot of life in me as me and my boobs. So, it's kind of, just getting started. It sounds good. I don't know. Sounds empowering, right?
It's really empowering. And I just think it goes to show that, our 40s, I'm 43, a few years older than you, and there's so much I want to do. And I've got more energy to do it a lot sometimes. But also, I know who I am, and that sets me up to do it.
Yeah, and do you know what? We were missold aging when we were younger. I said this to everybody.
Sure.
People our age now, in our 40s, we were missold what 40s looked like.
Yes.
Because when we were younger, if you ever watched the Golden Girls, they were like in their late 40s, early 50s. No, they looked about 80 to us when we were younger. We were told that they were like really old. That's what you're going to look like. It wasn't until Desperate Housewives come out that then I was like, this is what 40 could look like. This is what late 30s and 40 could look like. And I think that's why, you know what, that Desperate Housewives probably inspired me a lot more than I realised. I think I do dress like one of the Desperate Housewives. I think that's me. I don't know which one though. I don't know which one.
Yeah. I was always compared to Brie back in my days where I was a little bit more on top of life, and now I'm as fuck. I'm definitely not.
I'm probably a mixture of Susan and probably Edie a little bit.
Let's fast forward a little bit. What exciting things do you have coming up?
Exciting things. So the thing is, I have so much stuff coming up, and I kind of just keep doing what I'm doing. So I'm constantly posting on my stuff, and then things drop in. So I'll hopefully be getting involved with Pride again with Sky this year. I've got podcasts and that I've recorded that'll be out there, more articles, hopefully more events get to see amazing people. Who knows, I might be able to add extra awards to my shelf, which is kind of now like the thing is it's definitely a neurodiverse thing, because now once I started getting one, I want to start collecting them all. I want to start collecting them like Pokemons. Do you know what I mean? I'm just going to turn up all these events. Come on now, give me another one that I can put on my shelf and that. But no, I don't know. I think what's exciting that I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully people can just go along with it, and hopefully the world gets a little bit better. Yeah. In essence, that I don't have to be don't like coming across as angry, because anger is very draining. But I kind of hope we get to a point where I don't have to say as much about
Mm,
certain things because other people can say it without me having to say it.
yeah.
And then I can start, just sort of being a bit more open about my longevity and being a trans woman with bouncy boobs at the recycling centre.
I'm here for the visuals, but I agree. Sometimes we need to tap into anger, right? Sometimes we need to, and in 2026, it feels like we need to, but some let up on it would be really nice.
Yeah, I mean, look, you see, I told you, Inside Out, that
Mm,
Disney Pixar movie is perfect. Kids get it. We get it. You
yeah,
know, there's a reason there's so many different emotions working together. And the reason why anger is not the main character in that,
yeah.
right? Because anger isn't your main character. It shouldn't be.
No,
So, yeah. And plus, I just get bored of being angry.
for
Do you ever
sure.
get bored of being angry? Yeah, but you know when you start getting angry, you just sort of like halfway through being angry, you just, why am I being angry? I'm bored of
Yeah,
already of
I
it.
need.
It's
Yeah,
boring. It's
yeah,
not
it is.
fun.
That's what I need to. I know I need to go for a run. That is how I'm like, run it out, get rid of it,
We're gonna go buy some more nachos, I think.
or eat nachos. Apart from nachos, what brings you joy?
Ah, you took it away from me. You said I'm not allowed to say nachos. And I can't say boobs either because I've already talked about boobs. What brings me joy? Do you know what? I think just meeting people, chatting to people, that brings me joy.
Yeah.
Is talking to people, learning about their lives. And I was one of those people, I think growing up, I was quite like bored of people.
Mm,
Like, I think because I wasn't true to myself. And so when people used to talk about themselves a lot, I was always like, I really don't care. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
But now I love hearing about other people and I love hearing their stories and I love seeing how they've got through stuff. And do you know what? Listening is something I've learned over the years because I talk a lot. I do talk a lot. I've made it very clear that I talk a lot, but I also love listening
Mm,
and I can sit there and also listening also have to work at it. So it's like active listening. You have to really work hard.
yes.
And I think once you do listen to something and you listen to people's journeys and stories and all the things they've gone through, that brings you joy when I can kind of like connect with people.
This podcast has been a massive tool for me in improving my active listening, and really helping to join the dots for myself, but also for
Yeah,
people, because actually helping people take an opportunity to reflect and see that and piece the things together. But it's so important that we listen today.
yeah.
Yeah.
Too many people don't listen, and I think that's the problem. We're all too busy shouting, and no one's listening. And I think that's it's just a noise. That's why I always say this world's so noisy. Like literally, can we just sort of like listen a bit more? And if more people listened, it would get less noisy, and then we'd actually start hearing the things we should be hearing about, rather than things that are just noise.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have a quick practical takeaway for anyone listening wanting to either carve out a career in inclusion or create an inclusive space?
I mean, like I said, I work in sort of team leading, so being inclusive is really important for me in making sure that I'm inclusive to everybody I work with. Anyone out there that wants to create an inclusive space is that you've got to just be very transparent what that space is.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's no point saying this is a safe space and you just think, no, it fucking isn't. It's
Yeah.
like you're just saying that so you can get shit out of me. You got to be very transparent about it. You've got to open up, show your vulnerability. I think vulnerability is the biggest thing you need to do. If you can show that you're vulnerable and show your vulnerabilities to people, not in a kind of way of like, here, come and attack me sort of thing, just kind of like
Yeah.
open up. That's how you can create a safe space. Creating safe space is not easy to do because people have different levels that they need to get through. But I think, yeah, if you want to start being more inclusive, it's like really make sure you're opening up and being transparent in what you're trying to say and trying to build with people.
Yeah, for sure. My final question for you, Adele, is this. Do you have any words of encouragement or wisdom for anyone out there to help them get to wherever they're going?
Yeah, make mistakes. Just make mistakes because it's the only way you'll ever learn, and you'll only ever sort of understand the path you're on. Really, I suppose I made loads of mistakes in my life. I've learned from them. I'm making mistakes, still in my transition. When I say mistakes, I'm not saying like jump off a building and then die and go, oh, that was a mistake. Don't do that. I mean, like, look at things that are going to kind of keep you sort of going and learn from. I mean, I think I think I'm a good driver, right? But I failed my driving test about 7 times. I failed a lot so I can succeed, but I think I'm a better driver than a lot of people. So it kind of shows that, I just think learn to live by the things that you got wrong and then kind of keep moving forward.
Thank you so much for being such a wicked guest. I know you love to talk, and I knew that this would be such a brilliant conversation. So grateful for your time. I'm grateful for the way you show up. And yeah, just keep doing what you're doing because we need it.
Thanks for having me. And I'm glad, I hope people listening and got something from this, even if it's just my bouncy boobs. Right, I'm happy with that. You know, it is one. It is a takeaway you get from this. It's that.
Adele, I can't wait to see you soon. Thank you so much.